So if you feel like you are tugging between trying to get your morning routine down and have time to read the Bible, if you're tugging between, well, how do I, cook dinner every single night or cook dinner every other night for my kids, get on their schedule, get my work done, but still have enough time for me to spend with the Lord and for me to pour into myself so that I make sure that I am utilizing my gifts and operating the way that I should in order to get the blessings that God has for me. This is going to help you, sis. Okay, this is going to help you. So today we're talking about how to balance that, how to balance. And there's a couple of things that I want to share with you. The first thing, and I'm going to share this straight up front, balance insinuates equal parties. The word balance insinuates that there is equal attention given to both things. That's the first error, okay? There should be no balance between your spiritual life and your everyday life. You only have one life. And I literally listened to a YouTube video earlier by Myron Golden, and he was saying, if you are an entrepreneur and you're a Christian, your business is you're going to talk about God in your business. Like, you're going to show up as whoever you are. And when he was saying, I was like, this makes complete sense. Like, I never quite had the words to describe people because I'm very aggressive with my words. And so I will always say, and I need to stop saying that so I can stop being so aggressive, but I always tell people, be who you are. And so if you decided that you're going to start this business and you're a believer in Jesus and you have been blessed, those blessings didn't just fall out of the sky. Those blessings didn't come from only hard work, right? Like, God was involved, Jesus was involved. You took some type of guidance from the Holy Spirit or intuition, whatever you want to call it. It's the Holy Spirit. But you took the guidance to make the right decisions that eventually led to where you are now. So for you to be a Christian, and I felt this way, I got to a crossroads in my business where it's like, for you to love God so much and you talk about business and abundance and exceeding in life and doing what you're meant to do, but not at all to mention the name Jesus Christ is insane. Like, that's the conversation I had with myself. It's insane. Really, it is. And so we have to think about that too in all of our lives. When we're saying, and I hear people use this terminology a lot, which is how I got to this podcast episode topic, is like balancing spiritual life and everyday life. Well, there is no everyday life and spiritual life. You have one life, and in that life, you are tasked with gifts, abilities, and an assignment. And while your gifts, abilities, and assignment are taking place here in the earthly realm on this planet, in the world, you are still needing to tap into spiritual strength and spiritual guidance in order to live. And so we have to stop thinking about our life as being two different things. Like, I got to be this person over here and this person over here. That's stressful. A part of the stress and a part of the inability to do that is because that's not how you were made. Like, life's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to have one life and you live your life. And so that's the first thing that I want to give you, because the next 20 minutes or however long this podcast is really going to be about how are you prioritizing your spirituality and integrating that into your everyday life as the forefront of what you decide to do. It's not how am I going to fit my Bible study into my life. It's my Bible study's happening. How am I going to fit all these other things that I'm thinking about into my life? Am I going to have time for these things? Because my Bible study has to happen. Like, all the other things in our life that we say, these things are non-negotiable. All that needs to be thrown out the window. The Bible study needs to be non-negotiable. The prayer needs to be non-negotiable. And then whatever else fits into it around that is whatever else fits into it around that. And quite honestly, a lot of us are overcommitting in the first place. So while you may think I have so much going on that I have to show up for, or I need to show up for, it's not true. There are a lot of things that you have committed to doing that you don't have time for, that you don't have energy for. You got the skill set for it, but you don't have the time or energy for it, and it's not your assignment. So what happens, because this is really a savior complex, quite honestly. What happens when you commit to doing something because you think that there's nobody else that can do it as good as you can do it? So you step up and commit. You think that you just can do everything. Okay? So you step up and commit to it because you think nobody else can do it like you can, and things are not going to turn out as good if you don't do it. Get out your ego. Now you have all these things on your plate that you're juggling. And while you think you're performing well, it's a hot mess. And I'm sure you're feeling it. It may not look like a hot mess to everybody else because you might still be doing better than juggling 5 different commitments. You may still be doing better than someone who's only juggling 2 commitments or somebody who only has 1 commitment. But if you're juggling 5 commitments that are not your assignment, you are going to be stressed. You are going to be burnt out. You have to say no to things that were not assigned to you. We have to get out of our ego. And sometimes other people will not step up to the plate to do what they need to do if you don't make the space. Like if you don't back out of it, then that doesn't give anyone else the opportunity, or the person who the assignment is really meant for, it doesn't give them the opportunity to step into the roles or the responsibilities and do what they need to do. I experienced this with my children. I have 2 toddlers. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old girl. A lot of people, 4-year-old, like, I don't know, that's not really like a super independent stage. Did you back out of the role and responsibility and give your 4-year-old the opportunity to attempt to do something for themselves? Because that's how kids learn how to do things for themselves. You back up and you say, you know what, I'm gonna let you try it first. If you need my help, I'm gonna be right here. That's how it happens. And then eventually you back up a little bit farther, a little bit farther, a little bit farther, a little bit farther. And then now they know how to do things for themselves. They know how to make their own bed. They know how to brush their own teeth. They know how to make themselves breakfast. You have to back out of roles and responsibilities. This is the same thing when you are an adult. If you're watching this and you're a supervisor, trust your team. If you're watching this and you're a leader, trust your team. Trust your employees. Trust your kids. Give people the space to operate at the level at which you expect them to operate, because they're not going to if you keep doing everything for them. It's never going to happen if you do everything for them. Never, right? So balancing, number 1, is prioritizing the spiritual side of your life. And then number 2, realizing that you've likely overcommitted to some things. Now, this gets us to our next point in a little bit of a crossroads. If you have committed to something that you, quote unquote, cannot back out of, then you need to find a way for someone to replace you, or you need to find a way to let that responsibility go in a way that doesn't jeopardize the other people who are involved. Because if you just keep doing it, you just gonna keep doing it. Some of y'all's commitments don't have an end time. Like, there are some things I committed to for this school year. I know that the commitments I have made for this school year started in August. They're gonna end in May for my kids, right? For my kids' school. So I can make it till May. But some of y'all have committed to some things that don't have an end date. And you need to take a hard look at how much energy is this taking from me. How much time is this taking from me? And is this impeding on my ability to do what I need to do spiritually and to become more spiritual mature and to build spiritual discipline? Because in the long run, saying yes to all these different little activities and all that kind of stuff is not worth the expense of your eternal soul. Like, let's be honest, okay? Not worth the expense of your eternal soul. Okay, so here's how you can better prioritize your spiritual discipline, your spirituality in your life, is to prioritize 30 minutes of Bible study each day. Now, this is real tiny, y'all. Some people be like 10 minutes of Bible study, 15 minutes of Bible study. Girl, if you don't give the Lord at least 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Do you know you have 30 minutes? You have 30 minutes? It's like, give the Lord at least 30 minutes. We're talking about It's a 24-hour day. I can tell you this because I wear my I don't have my Apple Watch on right now, but I wear my Apple Watch. So I know, I can see on my watch how many stand hours I have a day, meaning that I have been up and active and moving. Normally, I'm around 15 stand hours. If you're up and moving for 12 to 15 hours, let's say you wake up at 6 a.m., you go to sleep at 6 p.m. Most people at least wake up at 7 a.m. and don't go to sleep at 7 p.m. Y'all probably get to bed at 8 or 9 p.m. So we're talking about 14 hours. It's a typical day. You can't take 30 minutes for Bible study out of a 14-hour day. But when something goes wrong, you want to cry to the Lord? Start looking at your relationship with God the way that you look at your relationship with other people. And stop treating your relationship with other people better than you treat your relationship with God. Because if you had a friend or a kid or a pet and you were awake for 14 hours and you didn't say nothing to them all day, you didn't even have a little 30-minute conversation with them, y'all wouldn't even be in a relationship no more. Your pet would be dead. Your kids, they would be with defects. You will be arrested for neglect. A lot of y'all should be arrested right now for spiritual neglect, okay? It's great going to jail, okay? So prioritize 30 minutes of Bible study each day. I actually find that it's a little easier to draw the boundaries of this is my 30 minutes of Bible study time if I have a Bible study, and I actually have one that's sitting on this table right here behind me. But buy a Bible study and say, hey, I got to do my Bible study for the day. Mommy's going to be done in about 10 minutes. It's not 10 minutes, it's 30 minutes. But kids don't have no reference of how long something is or how short something is. They don't know about time. They don't pay no bills. Okay? So mommy's going to be done in about 15 minutes. Y'all go watch a movie, go play. I'm going to sit down at the dining room table, or I'm going to sit down on the couch and I wouldn't even sit at the couch. Don't be too relaxed. Bible study is Bible study. You're not just reading. You should be reading, circling, underlining, highlighting, looking stuff up in your dictionary, like looking in the back of the Bible, looking in the front of the Bible. You should be studying. Treat that Bible the same way you treat your history textbook in college or your English textbook in college. Listen, I speak to primarily African-American women. If that's not you, welcome to the community. But I speak to primarily African-American women. We are the highest. I could probably bet right now we are the highest educated population of people. African American women study everything. Y'all want to study everything but your Bible. It's crazy. You got a bachelor's, a master's, 2 masters. You got a dual bachelor's degree and this and that. Then you said, you know what, I'm going to go back and get my doctorate. Do y'all know how many black female doctors I know? Not honorary doctors, but doctors went to school, wrote the thesis, wrote the whatever you want to call it that you write at the end. I can't think of the name right now. Wrote that 50, 60, 70 page paper on whatever, but don't want to take 30 minutes to study the Bible. We got to start reprioritizing. Another way you can prioritize spiritual life. Get a routine going that sets boundaries and makes space for your personal relationship with God. Not only is it 30 minutes of Bible study, but your routine needs to be honoring your boundaries and revolving around your boundaries. It's actually easier to say from 8 a.m. to 8:30, I'm studying my Bible. So I don't care what everybody else in the house got going on. I don't care what's going on at work. I'm blocking it off on my calendar, just like you block everything off on your calendar at work because you don't want to be bothered. Block it off on your calendar. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all think that people look at your calendar and say, oh, she's having a meeting with, I don't know who that is, but she's having a meeting with somebody. You need to be having a meeting with God. 8 to 8:30. It's easier to say that. It's easier to not say it. I'm sorry. It's easier to keep with it if you are doing it at the same exact time every single day. Now, I understand that things come up and they happen and like stuff changes, right? But 8 a.m. to 8:30, maybe that's your Bible time. Maybe 8 p.m. to 8:30 is your Bible time. for some reason we have this thing in our head where it's like, if it doesn't happen in the morning, then doing it after the morning is too late. I had a episode that I recorded. It was like the habits that I got rid of. One of my bad habits was, if I didn't make it to my morning workout, I just didn't work out, because I was like, bruh, the morning already happened, it's gone, it's too late, because it's 10 a.m. it's too late to go work out. But I'm not going to bed until 8 p.m. so why is it too late to work out if it's only 10 a.m. during the day? If your Bible study, if it's going to be easier for you to consistently show up for God and consistently show up so that you can clearly hear from the Holy Spirit what it is that you need to hear so you can experience true abundance. If that means I got a Bible study at 8 p.m. because my kids are asleep at 8 p.m., Bible study at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. to 8:30. I have the little Bible app. I'll tell y'all a funny story. I have the little Bible app on my phone. And you know, the app sends you a daily reminder, like, oh, this is your verse of the day, this is your daily reminder. And for most people, their daily reminder comes sometime in the morning time. The daily reminder is actually set by when you downloaded the app. So if you downloaded the app at 12 p.m., you're getting your daily reminders at 12 p.m. If you downloaded the app at 4 p.m., you're getting your daily reminders at 4 p.m. So for me, I had downloaded mine at night, not thinking about it. I knew it was going to send me a daily reminder, but just not thinking about it. And every time my alarm goes off for the app and it says, hey, here's the verse of the day, it's like 8 p.m., somewhere between 8 to 9 p.m. And one day, and I always announce it, it goes off and I'm like, verse of the day. Like, I read it out loud like I'm on a game show. Verse of the day is, and I read it. And one day I was around my family. I was at my mom's house and the verse of the day alarm came and I did the whole verse of the day is, and my aunt has the same exact app, and she's like, girl, the day is over. If that verse was meant to save you, you would have been dead. And I'm like, I got it though. I still got it. I went back later and changed my notifications to the morning time. I did go back and change my notifications to the morning time. But you know what that made me think about is, while some people like to read the Bible in the beginning of the day to start their day off, some people like to read their Bible at night because it's easier to go to sleep. You have a much more peaceful sleep when you read at night. Now, y'all know me. I'm going to read it in the morning and I'm going to read it at night because I need my sleep. But I also like to start my day off right? In the right spirits, in the right disposition. And so reading the Bible first thing in the morning helps me keep my attitude in check, because I got an attitude, okay? The Lord is still working on me. I be having an attitude sometimes. So I read in the morning and at night. But this is good. If you have a hard time sleeping at night, definitely start reading at night, because it's going to shift the way that you sleep. If you tend to have a lot of nightmares, or if you tend to have a lot of dreams that don't really make sense, read the Bible at night, because it's going to bring you a lot of clarity in your slumber. It's going to protect you in your sleep. But different times, different times for different folks, okay? Here's another thing I want you to do. And I probably say this in every single podcast episode, every single YouTube video I do, every single post. I'm like, find some friends to study the Bible with. When I tell y'all how shifting it was for me to find friends to read the Bible with. Now, right now, I'm in a season of my life where I am centrally focused on what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm trying not to get distracted with other things, because I'll get distracted. So I don't have a Bible study group, but I do have if I go read a verse and I want some insight, or if I'm curious about someone else's opinions, I do have people that I can text and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? So we just don't study together every single week at the same time. But I highly suggest that you do, because I have had that multiple times in my life, all throughout my 20s. I've had that. I'm in my early 30s now, but all throughout my 20s, I had that. And I've led a few of those where it was a Bible study group. We meet every single night, the same night of the week, at the same time. What makes that so integral and so impactful in your life is that you start to see other people's perspective of what God wants for you. Because, and you'll see this throughout the Bible, I wish I had written down an example, but this is kind of just coming to me right now as I'm thinking about it. We were made to be in communion with other people, so we already operate better when we're in communion with people who are also in alignment with what God desires for us. But on a deeper level, there are a lot of times that I can think back to where God says something to somebody else for me. He didn't say it directly to me for a reason, but he said something to somebody else for me. Or he said something to me, I turned it down, and then here comes so-and-so saying it to me. And I'm like, girl, how did you know? Like one of my really good friends is prophetic. And God will say something to me and I'll be like, that's not for me. No. Not that I'm discrediting, but that I'm questioning, because of course there's this ongoing battle when you're one of God's favorites, you know. But for all of us, there's always this ongoing battle between light and dark, and a lot of us are in the midst of spiritual warfare. And what that means is that God is going to feed us these ideas, and he's going to implant these seeds in us that make us passionate and give us this desire to do this thing and this skill set and this gifting and this equipping to carry something out. What's happening on the other side of that? The devil is implanting into your mind doubt and shame and questioning and lack of forgiveness and baggage and limiting beliefs. And so the devil is also fighting at the same time that God is implanting these things in your mind. So when you read those little posts on social media that be like, oh, if it's meant from God, it's going to be easy. If it's from God, it's going to be, you know, so graceful. There's not going to be any resistance. No, there's going to be a lot of resistance, because when the devil sees you moving to do what God has called you to do, the earth is going to start to shake. He gonna get nervous. He's going to get nervous. He's going to be like, wait a second, she done figured it out. We got to stop her. It's spiritual warfare. There is an ongoing battle. If there was no battle, then God would win. There would be no sin. You know, people wouldn't be getting cheated on. There would be no robbing, no killing, no stealing, no war, no hunger. None of that would exist. All of that exists as an ongoing battle. And while all of those things I just listed are on a major world scale, what's happening to you in your life right now probably feels just as intense, if not more intense, than what we see happening on the news. A lot of us are desensitized to what we see happening on the news. Okay? But what happens in our own life, we feel it a lot deeper. So when you find friends to Bible study with weekly, what that does is it builds a connection that allows for God to penetrate you in multiple ways. And some of y'all don't listen. Y'all hard-headed. You've been hard-headed since you was a kid. You got them report cards that you tried to hide in your backpack, that you tried to forge your parents' signature, that you said, oh, I forgot, but it was at school, and you threw it away in the trash can. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all got them report cards that says she does not listen, she talks too much in class, she's a distraction, she's the class clown, because you like to make people feel good. So you like to make people laugh, but you're the class clown. What happens when you do that in adult life? What happens when you do that in your spiritual life? God has to go to somebody else to get to you. And if you're not in an environment where you can actually trust what someone else says to you about what God said to them about you, you're not going to believe it. Now you don't miss out on your blessing because you didn't listen to what God said, or maybe you could not hear what God said. And you don't have no friends that can say, girl, I had a dream about you last night and God told me this. You don't have no friends that can come to you and say, girl, I was praying to God this morning. He told me to ask you about such and such. Y'all ain't got no friends like that. So you out here with your back against the wall fighting the devil on your own. God is with you. You ain't going to lose. But it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a lot harder than if you had a team of prayer warriors behind you. Even if it was 3 or 4 people. It's going to be a lot harder than if you had people saying, I'm going to my prayer closet right now for you. I'm getting down on my knees to pray right now for you. I'm coming over right now to pray with you in your living room. You don't have to wait till you're in your 30s. I was doing it in my 20s. I was in group texts in my 20s with somebody saying, this just happened, pray for me. And we went to work. Okay? So, find friends to Bible study with. And this last little piece I'm going to leave you with on prioritizing your spiritual life, which is your only life. You are one person, you live one life. Understand that balance or prioritization is ongoing, and the enemy is always going to be attempting to distract you and test you, especially if this is your go season. This is not a one and done. Nothing I've told you today. Nothing I have told you today is a one and done. The more you figure this thing out, the more, I don't want to say oppression, but the more you figure this thing out, the swifter the force is going to get. But as long as you know, I'm going to stay 10 toes down. I'm going to stand on business. I know what God told me. I'm going to trust in his promises. I don't know when they're going to come to pass because I know my timing. I don't know God's timing. You might not know God's timing. And of course, in every single assignment and every season, there are going to be pieces of the journey and pieces of the assignment that you do not know. That's on purpose. God does that on purpose. It tells us in the Bible. He doesn't tell us everything because we tend to do what? Lean unto our own understanding. And when we know everything, what happens when we know everything? There's no need for faith. Ain't no need for faith. If you knew all the details, you wouldn't need to have faith because you don't need to believe in something that you already know is going to happen. So you're going to get, some pieces are going to be strong. Some pieces of information are going to be strong and some are not going to be strong. Okay? So you have to make sure that you are prioritizing your spiritual growth and that you are being intentional about growing spiritually and becoming more disciplined in that area. And that's an ongoing process because it's going to look different in every season of your life. Some seasons of my life were 30 minutes of Bible study. Some seasons of my life were 3 hours a day of Bible study because I was deep in it. I was deep into spiritual warfare and it was attacks on my home. I remember, I've never even told this story. I remember last year, it might have been last year, the year before last year, my daughter had night terrors. And of course, as a toddler, that's normal. People be like, oh, that's normal. Your kids do that? Oh, that's normal. Like, nah, bro, that's not normal. Okay? You know your children. Only you know your children. And you can advocate for your children, of course. But there are a lot of things that happen in this earthly realm that people just say, oh, whatever. And night terrors is one of those things. For a 2-year-old to wake up every single night with night terrors all throughout the night, y'all, I wasn't getting no sleep. All throughout the night is not normal. It may be normal to some people, but it's not normal. You know what that says to me? It says there is a spiritual attack going on in my household. Because for a child to go from being able to sleep peacefully and sound for 12 hours, literally, she would go to sleep at 6 p.m. in the afternoon and wake up at 6 a.m. the next day. Like, that's a long time, right? That's a good sleep. To not being able to sleep, that's a problem. So in that season of my life, I felt like our house was under spiritual attack. And so I spent a lot more time in the Bible. And there were a lot of things in my life that were not related to my spiritually, like things in my business where I had to make a sacrifice and say, you know what? I know I got 6 or 7 hours to work during the day before, like in between dropping off my kids and picking up my kids. But I got to spend half of this day in my word because my house is under spiritual attack. Okay? And so you will have different seasons of your life where it's like that. And by the way, she does not have night terrors anymore. And what I thought was a spiritual attack was confirmed because I heard her and her brother sleep in the same room. And I heard her one night saying, leave my brother alone. Like, she was literally talking in her sleep to the demons. Like, it's crazy, okay? It's real out here. And he's smaller than her, but we've been told a lot that he is unique and that he is special. Not something that a toddler can just fabricate in their mind. And so there was just a lot of little things like that where I was like, oh yeah, this is real. I had also witnessed like a few deliverances, and so it was just a lot. But different seasons call for different things, and you have to show up in a different way. And so yeah, that's all I have for y'all today. please, please, please be sure to subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check the description box below, join my email list so you can be notified of when new episodes drop. I'll see y'all later.